Welcome back, PetaPixel viewers. It is Chris Niccolls here, and look at this. Hands-on first impressions of the brand new Fujifilm GFX100S version 2. So now that the GFX100S version 2 is out, that means there's going to be a whole bunch of older GFX models on the used market. The GFX50, the 50S, the 50R, the 100S. And if you want to get a great deal, best place to go is KH.com. Buying a GFX is a big purchase. You want to know that your money is being well spent. The nice thing about KH is you know that they're going to check it over with their expert team of appraisers, not only to make sure you're getting a fair deal, but also that your camera gear is in great shape. Now let's say you get yourself a used GFX50S and you just think, I should have got the 100 megapixel sensor. That's okay. KH.com gives you a generous 21-day return policy. Let's say you do get the GFX100S and then you say, it's having some issues. No problem, because KH warranties those products for 180 days. So to take a look at all of the best pre-owned Fujifilm cameras or any cameras from any other manufacturers, check out KH.com because they've got tons of selection. That's just one of the many reasons why KH.com is PetaPixel's official pre-owned camera gear partner. So because this is a hands-on first look at this pre-production camera, we don't have final firmware, we can't process the RAWs or anything like that. At the same time though, a lot of this camera is very similar to what we've seen before. What we can certainly speak to is how this camera relates to the original GFX100S, as well as how does it fit in the whole ecosystem versus the 100 version 2. Let's start off talking about body here, because this is actually quite simple. This is basically identical to the GFX100S, except that it's got the new cool rubber grip that we saw on the GFX100 version 2. But otherwise, everything's very familiar. Basically the exact same control structure and layout. We got twin SD card slots, UHS 2-speed, little port here for remote controls. On this side, we got headphone jack and mic jack. We got USB-C port, that same small micro HDMI port, and we also have a PC sync. And the similarities continue. I mean, the body is going to be the lightest weight of the GFXs, around 900 grams. I do prefer this size factor even to the GFX100 version 2, which is already more compact than the older GFX100. Otherwise, we do have some rubber sealing here on the battery door and the memory card slot, so that's nice. It's fairly rugged, but again, not to the same standard as the 100 version 2. MPW 235 battery, we've seen that before as well. All right, let's take a look at displays next, because this is really where we do see a substantial upgrade. So first off, we're getting a nice 2.36 million dot back panel. It's got the nice vertical articulation for waist level shooting or above a crowd, but also that hinge. So if I want to do low to the ground verticals and stuff, I can still do that. And I enjoy that for landscape shots, getting close to the rocks and stuff like that. But we're now going up to a 5.76 million dot EVF, and this is really important, not just only for composition's sake, but also playback. It's very important with that 100 megapixel sensor. I like having as much resolution as possible, especially when I want to zoom in and confirm that things are in focus, that I don't have any camera shake whatsoever. Now, as usual, we have the return of our top-mounted LCD panel. This can show me my exposure triangle settings, exposure comp, Fujifilm simulation mode, blah, blah, blah. That's a nice heads-up display. Or I can have it mimic a digital analog control dials, or I can also have my histogram show up there. It is always on. That still kind of drives me a little bit crazy with my OCD. I always feel like I haven't turned the camera off, but you existing GFX users are probably used to it by now. Now, another nice upgrade over the older X100S is this now shoots 7 frames per second, even with the dual SD card slots, and you're gonna get about 24 shots before the buffer fills out. Again, we're gonna really test that later on when we have a production camera, but this does absolutely improve the capabilities of the 100S version 2 for some sports in action. It's still not quite gonna touch the 8 frames per second the GFX100 version 2 gets, and that is using CF Express Type B cards, so it is definitely gonna have a bigger buffer. Now, the GFX100S did feature image stabilization in the body, but the IBIS system in the new GFX100S version 2 is improved now to 8 stops. That's the exact same as the GFX100 version 2, and it does give you a very stable platform to shoot from. Okay, so sensor talk time. So first off, the Fujifilm GFX100S version 2, we kind of know where the sensor's coming from. I mean, we've seen sensors like this before in the other 100 megapixel cameras. Fujifilm is saying it's a new sensor, but often manufacturers do that when they make slight changes or variations to existing sensors. No doubt that has been done here as well. Now, until we get raw file support, there's only so much that we can test. And one of the things that we really do want to test when we have a full production unit, there's some controversy with the GFX100 version 2 where the files would drop from 14-bit to 12-bit without telling you, and that was kind of rough because you wouldn't get the dynamic range that you were expecting to get. We don't know if that happens here, but what we can confirm is that we are getting 16-bit files as always if you're shooting in single shot mode, and 14-bit files, which are absolutely fantastic as far as image quality goes in your continuous shooting modes. If it drops to 12-bit, that's something we'll have to test later on. Now, because of this sensor, we are getting the same 425-point autofocusing system that we have on the GFX100 version 2. And this is great because Fujifilm has come a long way in their autofocusing performance. And even the GFXs, although they're not exactly what I would call a full-on sports and action camera, they don't always track exactly the same speed as, say, their APS-C models do, they are still going in the right direction. And it's absolutely obvious that Fujifilm really wants to push their GFX cameras as a more versatile medium format system. Now, along with these new autofocusing algorithms, of course, we are getting all the Fujifilm subject detection modes, their best face and eye detection software. So these are all nice benefits and upgrades to the now 100S version 2. We're also getting the latest suite of Fujifilm film simulation modes. So this is absolutely a complete package. So on the Fuji GFX100S version 2, we do have access to the brand new 500mm, which we are going to be doing a video review on as well shortly. But because I have this, I thought, why not do something crazy? Take a portrait of Jordan with this lens. So we're outside here, bright sunlight. I'm going to use the Westcott FJ400, totally battery powered, which is great, no cables. It's going to have enough power to compete with the sunlight that we have here, go through this Manny Ortiz softbox, and light Jordan up beautifully. Let's see what we get. Clint Eastwood eyes with the soul of a firefighter. Closer to the rock. Okay, nose straight to me. Yes. Imagine you're single, in your 40s, divorced dad, and you're looking for some action. And you're like, I'm a nice guy, but I'm on the prowl. Well, there you go again. I always like the results I get with the Westcott FJ400 flash through the softbox, and that's why Westcott is PetaPixel's preferred lighting partner.
Hey, it's your old pal Jordan, who's being filmed on the GFX100S to talk about the video capabilities on this camera. And previously with the GFX100, 100S, I was pretty impressed that the video capabilities were even passable, given the readout speeds on those sensors. But Fujifilm made huge strides with the GFX100 version 2. There they gave it things like 8K recording, all kinds of different crop factors, anamorphic support, waveforms. It was like a fully featured video camera with a sensor that isn't really optimized for video. So they've really scaled the video functionality back with the 100S2. Here we have the ability to record 4K up to 30 frames per second in 10-bit 422 with H.264 or H.265. Now the S2 did get some features handed down from the 100 too. Most notably for me, we have waveforms, my favorite way to meter out a scene, but it is missing all of those higher resolution captures, all the crop modes, high-speed recording. I mean, if you are planning to use a medium format camera as a hybrid video device, then the 102 is absolutely the way to go. But if you're planning to use it primarily for photography and use it for video in a pinch, then the 100S2 will still do a very capable job.
So you can look at the GFX100S2 in two different ways. First off, you could say, okay, this is quite a minor upgrade from the 100S. I mean, we've got the same body, the same handling. What we basically updated is just feature specs like the EVF and the IBIS and the autofocusing performance. On the other hand, though, those are actually making a big difference if you look at it the other way, because this becomes a far more compelling package when compared against the 100 version 2. I mean, I would still go 100 version 2 if I absolutely want to have the best video capability and I want to have slightly faster burst rates, you know, for things like sports and action. But again, I still don't think that that's quite the Fujifilm GFX platform's forte. I think that the GFX100S2 makes a lot more sense for a lot more users. I mean, first off, we're getting much better eye detect, so this is awesome for any portrait work. I'd love it much more for landscapes where I'm not in a rush to shoot, but I get a lighter, smaller package that's still rugged enough. And frankly, the GFX100 version 2's interchangeable EVFs, although a very novel idea, hasn't really been implemented fully. There's not a lot of options that I find really compelling. compelling. So I'm perfectly happy now with this EVF that's finally given me a decent 5.76 million dots. So, Fujifilm GFX100S2, did you have a nice time being held by me all day in my strong, powerful hands? Because I had a great time holding you all day.
Stop personifying the camera.
No, with your lighter body design and your new rubber textures. Really enjoyed it. And I hope you guys at home really enjoyed it too, watching the two of us gallivant through the woods and have a great time. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about my psychosis and maybe even the camera. Why not? Also, check out the podcast. You can find the PetaPixel podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps, so you can listen to us while you do laundry or drive your car or do some cooking, or you can watch us interact, Jaron, Jordan, and myself on the exact same channel. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon with more from PetaPixel.